Imagine that we are standing still, but beneath our feet, the Earth is moving far more violently than human eyes can ever see. We live on a planet so familiar that we sometimes forget. It, too, has a soul of its own. Imagine you and I, right now, stepping down into the Earth together, layer by layer, as if opening the most mysterious chapters of the planet's ancient book. A little deeper, the light disappears, the sound fades, and only one thing remains: the silent motion of rock and fire. Hundreds of meters below, massive slabs of stone the size of entire towns are grinding past one another. Deeper still lies the molten mantle, where rivers of glowing magma rise and fall like the warm breath of a living world. And if we keep going, we'll reach the place that makes everyone fall silent. A colossal metal sphere, spinning in the dark. It is almost as large as the moon. It burns as hot as the surface of the sun. And it turns quietly, like a deep, steady heartbeat that keeps the entire planet alive. Every earthquake you've ever heard of, every volcano that erupts in the night, every ocean wave that reaches the shore, all begin from that deepest, hidden place. It's astonishing to realize that every step you take on the ground today exists because of a source of energy that has been working non-stop for 5 billion years. Our journey from here will carry you across the oceans, into canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, to places on the seafloor that open like the gates of an underworld, and show how the Earth destroys itself and rebuilds itself again and again. Every passing second, beneath thousands of meters of water, enormous slabs of Earth the size of continents are drifting past each other, with enough force to bend steel and shake the entire planet. The astonishing truth is this: 90% of Earth's seafloor has never been seen. It is so dark that sunlight can never reach it, so hot that metal can melt, and so dangerous that a single movement can unleash a tsunami higher than a 20-story building. But the real source of power does not lie in the oceans. It lies 3,000 kilometers beneath our feet, where a gigantic metal heart spins independently, like a second hidden planet inside the Earth, as hot as the sun, and heavy enough that the magnetic field it creates is the very shield that keeps humanity alive. Without it, the sun would strip away our atmosphere, and Earth would become like Mars, cold, barren, and dead. And what you're about to witness today is how this Earth machine creates mountains, opens oceans, levels cities with a single tremor, yet quietly nurtures life on every inch of land you stand upon. So, the next time you look down at the ground, don't think it's standing still. We are standing on a colossal, burning, dangerous, yet utterly miraculous machine crafted by the universe itself. Let's look deep into the Earth together. Starting now, there are days when you open your eyes and believe the world is completely normal. The sky shows no warning signs. The wind moves gently through the trees. The ocean waves look the same as yesterday. But the truth is this: far beneath the surface of the ocean, thousands of kilometers away from you, the Earth is preparing for a moment that can change the history of an entire nation. And that is exactly what happened on the morning of March 11th, 2011. The silence before the storm in eastern Japan, people were beginning another ordinary day. Bullet trains left their stations. Children headed to school. Workers went to their jobs. Markets opened, and morning coffee shops filled with chatter. No one knew that, at that very moment, the tectonic plates beneath the Pacific Ocean had been building up energy for more than a century. This was not the kind of energy we're familiar with, not electricity, not heat, but pressure. A silent force created by slabs of rock as large as continents being stuck against each other. For decades they slid, squeezed, pushed, strained, but couldn't break free, like a metal spring pulled to its very limit. And then suddenly the Earth let go. The moment the Earth releases. At 1446, the locked Pacific plate suddenly snapped downward, forcing the North American plate above it to jerk violently upward. In just 6 minutes, the seafloor shifted more than 50 meters, a number almost impossible to comprehend. A magnitude 9.0 earthquake, so powerful that it slightly tilted Earth's axis, shortened the length of our day by 1.8 microseconds, and made the entire planet vibrate like a struck metal bell. And what came next was a perfectly natural chain reaction, predictable in theory, but terrifying in reality. The 27-meter walls of water, the earthquake, was only the first whisper. Moments later, a massive column of water was lifted violently upward and spread outward like a shockwave. Imagine this. An ocean spanning millions of square kilometers is suddenly punched from below by the force of the Earth itself. As these waves approached shallower waters, they began to rise higher and higher. In several towns, people saw walls of water over 27 meters tall crashing toward the coast, as if the ocean had stood up and decided to walk onto the land. Cars, houses, ships, everything was swept away as if they weighed nothing. In just a few hours, once busy coastal cities of northeastern Japan became a devastated landscape of debris. Numbers are never just numbers. The tsunami claimed nearly 25,000 lives. But the most heartbreaking part, it is not the number. It is the small children's shoes left in the mud. The cars are stranded on rooftops. The family photo albums soaked with seawater and scattered across empty streets. Nature was not being cruel. It was simply doing what it has always done. Maintaining the motion of the Earth, recycling its surface, balancing the forces within. But sometimes, for the planet to continue its cycle, we must face grief. Why was the earthquake so powerful? To understand this, we must look at the source of the event, the boundary of tectonic plates. Off the coast of Japan, the Pacific plate is heavier, thicker, and rich in basalt, a dense volcanic rock. This plate constantly slides beneath the North American plate in a process known as subduction. But this movement is not smooth. It is not a wheel turning. It's more like two rough stones scraping against each other. They lock, they grind, and they hold that pressure for decades, until the force becomes overwhelming and everything breaks loose at once. This is why the 2011 earthquake was so extraordinarily powerful. A century of accumulated tension released in seconds. A force strong enough to change the planet. When the earthquake struck, the Earth didn't just tremble, it changed shape. Earth's axis shifted slightly. Honshu, Japan's largest island, moved 4 meters. A section of the seafloor was lifted nearly 5 meters. All of this reveals something important. Earth is not a solid, unmoving rock. It is active, dynamic, breathing, constantly adjusting itself in search of equilibrium. Disaster, or the condition for life. This is where science becomes deeply philosophical. The same forces that cause earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes are the very forces that created Earth's early atmosphere, formed continents, recycled nutrients from the seafloor, delivered minerals essential for biology, and generated diverse ecosystems where life could evolve. In other words, if the Earth did not shake, we would not exist. A silent planet is a dead planet. A trembling planet is a living one. What the Earth teaches us from the 2011 Japan disaster, we learn a simple but profound truth. We do not live on the Earth. We live with the Earth. This planet is not against us, but it will not stop moving just to keep us safe. Its job is to live. Our job is to understand it. And the more we understand, the better we can survive within its enormous, unstoppable motions. The next step of the journey to truly understand why the Earth creates such destructive and beautiful moments, we must travel even further, to the places where land once connected to sea, where continents sank beneath the waves, and where the history of the planet is still written beneath the water. That will be part 3 of our journey. And now, I invite you to continue with me to explore the ancient landscapes that once existed where the ocean lies today. If you stand beside the ocean today, watching the waves roll in and listening to their soft rhythm, it's easy to believe that the coastline you see now has always been there. But nothing about Earth stays the same for long. Not the mountains, not the deserts, not even the borders between land and sea. To understand how dynamic our planet truly is, we must step back in time. Not hundreds of years, but thousands, even millions. Because the world beneath the waves today was once a world above them. A walk between England and France. Let's begin our journey 9,000 years in the past. Right now, the English Channel is one of the busiest waterways on Earth. A constant flow of ships, ferries, and cargo lines between Britain and France. But 9,000 years ago, you could have walked from England to France. No tunnel, no bridge, just land. A wide, open plain stretching from one country to the other, covered by forests, rivers, and wandering animals. Archaeologists call it Doggerland, a forgotten world swallowed by rising seas as the last ice age faded. People lived there, families, hunters, gatherers, children who played along the riverbanks that today lie dozens of meters below the waves. One day those lands vanished, not in an instant but slowly, then all at once. As the oceans rose, the coastline retreated, and an entire human homeland became a memory preserved only in mud and silt. When we look at the English Channel today, we are staring at a graveyard of landscapes that once shaped human life. And that is only the beginning. Understand, Veiling back the oceans, imagine that we possess a power no human has ever had. The ability to drain the oceans. Not just a little, all the way down to the very last drop. As the water pulls back, a hidden world emerges. First, shallow waters disappear, revealing wide plains of sand and traces of long-gone riverbeds. Then deeper regions drain away, exposing scars, cliffs, and ancient canyons that dwarfs anything seen above sea level. The continents stretch far beyond the shorelines we know. Their true shapes, their full bodies, are only revealed when the sea retreats. This underwater land, it is called the continental shelf, a submerged extension of the continents that can stretch hundreds of kilometers from the coast. It is one of the most valuable places on Earth today, not because of what we see there, but because of what lies beneath: oil, gas. Ancient life turned to energy. For millions of years, the remains of sea creatures and drifting sediments settled layer by layer on the seabed. With pressure and time, they transformed into the oils and gases that fuel our ships, planes, cars, and even this moment you are watching right now. The continental shelf is not just geology. It is a library of Earth's deepest histories. The hidden canyons of the deep. Now imagine we drain the oceans further. As we descend past 150 meters, the edge of the continental shelf appears, a long slope leading into darkness. And then, suddenly, the seafloor drops into enormous canyons. You may think the Grand Canyon is massive, and it is. Yet, beneath the ocean, there exist canyons that make it look small. Monterey Canyon, off the coast of California, is deeper than 3 kilometers, 12 kilometers wide, and stretches for almost 500 kilometers. And it is not even the largest. Farther north, near the coast of Russia, lies the Zemchud Canyon, a titan of the deep, almost 300 kilometers long, nearly 100 kilometers across, and deeper than most people can imagine. If you stood on one side, you could not see the other. the curvature of the earth would hide it. These canyons tell a story of rivers older than humanity, carved long before the ocean swallowed them. They remind us that the Earth's surface is a living sculpture, reshaped endlessly by time, water, ice, and motion. The abyssal plain, where the world falls silent once we reach the bottom of the continental slope. We meet a place so vast, so empty, that early scientists believed it was lifeless. The abyssal plain covers more than half of the planet. Flat, dark, quiet. A world where sunlight never arrives and pressure crushes anything not built to endure it. But even here, Earth's story continues. Because beneath this silent floor lies the key to how continents move, how oceans open and close, and why the Earth has been alive for billions of years. Where the Earth creates new seafloor deep in the middle of the Atlantic is one of the greatest structures in the solar system. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a mountain chain longer than the circumference of Earth, stretching more than 65,000 kilometers. It is here where the planet manufactures new seafloor. Molten rock rises from the mantle, breaking through the crust and hardening into new ocean floor. As more lava rises, the seafloor spreads apart, pushing continents centimeter by centimeter, millimeter by millimeter, year after year. This is how Africa drifts away from South America, how Iceland tears itself open, how the world slowly rearranges itself over millions of years. The Earth breathes through the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. It grows, transforms, it resets. A doorway into the planet. There is one place on Earth where you can actually see the Mid-Atlantic Ridge above sea level. That place is Iceland. Iceland is not just an island. It is a window into the beating heart of the planet. More than 100 volcanoes dot its landscape like fiery organs. Rivers of lava flow just beneath the crust. And in one particular place, the Sulphur Fissure, you can literally swim between two drifting continents. Touch one wall and you touch North America. Touch the opposite wall and your fingers rest on Europe. Few places on Earth allow us to witness the planet growing in real time. But Iceland is one of them. The Earth that once was all of this. Doggerland, the canyons, the shelves, the ridge, tells us a simple truth. The Earth we see today is not the Earth our ancestors saw, and it will not be the Earth future generations inherit. Continents drift, seas rise and fall, mountains grow, mountains crumble, land becomes ocean, ocean becomes land. Everything changes, and yet, in this constant motion, there is something profoundly comforting. Earth is alive. It reshapes itself not to harm us, but because this is the only way a planet can stay alive for billions of years. What lies ahead to understand the Earth is to understand that change is not the enemy. It is the nature of the world we belong to. In the next part of our journey, we will travel deeper, to places where volcanic heat meets freezing ocean water, where new minerals are born, and where life thrives in the most impossible corners of the planet. But for now, remember this: every coastline you've ever seen, every beach you've ever walked on, every continent you've ever lived upon, they are only temporary chapters in a story the Earth has been writing for 4.5 billion years. And we are just beginning to read it. If you and I were to continue sinking deeper through the ancient oceans we drained in the last chapter, we would eventually reach a world where sunlight has never existed. A world so heavy, so crushing, that even steel would crumble like sand. And yet, in this unthinkable darkness, the Earth performs one of its greatest miracles. Because down here, where pressure could flatten a skyscraper and temperatures swing between ice and fire, life is born in ways we once believed impossible. This is the realm of underwater volcanoes, black smokers, and the beating thermal heart that keeps our planet alive. Welcome to the edge between destruction and creation, where the Earth breathes fire underwater. Imagine standing 2 kilometers beneath the surface of the ocean. The water above you is heavier than every building in your city stacked on top of your shoulders. It is pitch black, silent, unforgiving, and then suddenly, out of the darkness, a plume of boiling water erupts from the seafloor as if the Earth itself were exhaling. This is a hydrothermal vent, a volcanic chimney that spits out water heated to over 400 degrees Celsius. Water so hot that it should be steam, but isn't because the pressure is too great for it to boil. As it bursts upward, minerals crystallize instantly, forming towering black chimneys up to 55 meters tall. Their name is fitting: black smokers, the Earth's molten breath made visible. What feeds the fires below? To understand these vents, we must remember the machinery that drives our planet. Beneath the crust lies the mantle, a vast ocean of rocks so hot and soft that they flow like honey over millions of years. Heat from Earth's core moves these rocks upward, pushing molten material toward the surface. At places like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, where the seafloor splits apart, this heat escapes through cracks, letting superheated water and minerals blast into the ocean. The result is a landscape that looks more alien than anything on Earth's surface. It is as if we've stepped onto another planet. But the greatest surprise is not the fire. It is life. Life in the places that should kill it. Before the 1970s, scientists believed nothing could survive in the deep sea. No sun, no warmth, crushing pressure, total darkness, toxic chemicals, a recipe for death. But when explorers first found black smokers in 1977, they discovered something that overturned everything we knew about biology. Life didn't just exist here, it thrived. Giant tube worms a meter long, albino crabs, transparent shrimp with glowing internal organs, creatures that could drink poison as easily as we drink water. The most astonishing of all was a humble snail, the scaly-foot gastropod, a creature that literally wears armor made of metal. Its shell is shaped from iron sulfides, a metal pulled directly from volcanic vents. On land, an animal with a shell of metal would be a myth. Down here, it is simply one of Earth's many inventions. These discoveries taught us a stunning truth. Life does not need sunlight. It needs energy. And energy comes not only from the sun, but also from the Earth's fire. This is the closest glimpse we have of how life may have begun billions of years ago. Not in warm, shallow seas, as textbooks once told us, but here, in the deep, in the dark, beside the molten breath of the Earth. The submarine cities of heat and darkness as you walk across this world. If walking were possible, the terrain feels strange, alive, breathing heat. Vents open and close like mouths inhaling and exhaling. Mineral towers rise like cathedrals forged by fire. The ground is alive with rivers of shimmering bacteria that feed on toxic gases and convert them into energy. To them, poison is nourishment. To them, darkness is home. Everywhere you look, the seafloor cracks with the soft glow of magma beneath. A reminder that this is not a dead world but a living engine. Earth's thermal power is not hidden. Pulses in every direction. And if we follow those pulses long enough, they lead to something even greater. When the seafloor breaks apart, the seafloor does not stay still. It stretches, tears, and sometimes collapses. When the pressure becomes too much, entire slopes of underwater mountains give way in colossal landslides. These aren't small events. They can send shockwaves that cut across oceans. In 2006, a single undersea landslide near Taiwan snapped 9 major fiber optic cables in an instant. The internet across much of Asia went silent. Banks, airports, governments, every system that relies on digital communication was suddenly thrown into chaos. And it all began from a shift on the seafloor caused by the same forces that run the black smokers. The Earth is always speaking, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in roars. The world's tallest mountain you've never seen. If we continue moving across the seafloor, we encounter something unexpected. A mountain far taller than Everest. Its name is Mauna Kea, a volcano rising from the ocean floor. From its true base almost 10 kilometers below sea level to its summit 4 kilometers above the surface. It towers over Earth's highest peaks. Yet most of it is hidden, covered by water, invisible to us. It is a reminder that we know far less about our own planet than we imagine. Because the ocean does not reveal what it protects. Into the deepest place on Earth, now imagine draining the ocean further, 6 kilometers more. The world disappears into a narrow, unimaginable abyss. This is the Mariana Trench, the deepest scar on the Earth's surface. 11 kilometers down, cold enough to freeze bone, dark enough to erase all concept of time, pressurized enough to crush a car to the size of a coin. Only 2 humans have ever touched its floor. More people have walked on the moon than have visited this place. When they reached the bottom in 1960, they described it as visiting another planet. And they were right. It feels less like Earth and more like a forgotten corner of the cosmos. But even here, in the most hostile place on the planet, scientists found signs of life. Not much, not many, but enough to prove that life follows the heat, the motion, and the chemistry of the Earth wherever they lead. Even into the abyss. The Earth's fiery heartbeat, everything we've seen in this chapter. The vents, the creatures, the landslides, the mountains, the trenches, all comes from one source: heat. Heat from a core as hot as the surface of the sun, heat that rises through the mantle in vast plumes. Heat that splits continents, pushes oceans apart, and births new crust from fire. Heat that has been beating like a pulse for 4-5 billion years. The Earth is alive. Not metaphorically, literally. This heat is its heartbeat. Its motions are its breath. And every explosion, every crack, every ripple of magma is a sign that the planet beneath us is still growing, still changing, still becoming. The journey ahead, we have now seen the Earth's hidden furnace, the place where darkness meets fire and death meets life. But our journey, it is far from over. The next part of the story will take us to the edges of continents, where plates collide, mountains climb toward the sky, and the Earth's greatest disasters become its greatest creators. Because every mountain ridge, every volcanic island, every trembling coastline begins with the fire we witnessed here. And the Earth has many more secrets to show us. If you thought the Earth's deepest places were the most violent, you have not yet seen the edges of continents, the places where the planet meets itself head-on. Because here, along the boundaries of tectonic plates, the Earth does something extraordinary. It breaks itself to create. Mountains, earthquakes, volcanoes, islands, all of them begin with a collision. And today, our journey takes us to those collision zones, where destruction and creation, they are the same thing. Where the seafloor meets the continent, imagine 2 giants moving silently toward each other. Slowly, too slowly for a human to notice, but relentlessly. One of these giants is the continental plate, light, thick, ancient. The other is the oceanic plate, denser, heavier, forged from basalt. When the oceanic plate reaches the continent, it cannot climb over it. It is too heavy. So it does the only thing it can. It sinks. This sinking is called subduction, and it is one of the most powerful forces the Earth has ever known. The ocean floor bends downward into the darkness of the mantle, carrying with it rock, minerals, the sediments, even entire ecosystems, millions of tons of earth descending into fire. It sounds like destruction, but this is only the beginning. Fire rises from the collision as the oceanic plate sinks deeper. It grows hotter. water trapped in the rocks is squeezed out and rises into the mantle above. This water lowers the melting point of the mantle rock, unlocking an ancient chemical reaction. The mantle melts. Magma is born, and like all things lighter than the rock around it, it rises upward, through cracks in the crust, through weak points in the continent, until finally it erupts. Volcanoes form, not randomly, but along long, curved lines tracing the edges of continents. This fiery necklace is known as the Ring of Fire, home to more than 75% of the world's active volcanoes. From the coasts of South America, up through Central America, sweeping across the United States and Alaska, down through Russia, Japan, the Philippines, and into New Zealand, the Ring of Fire, this is where the Earth speaks loudest. But what it says, it is not only destruction. For the birth of mountains, look at the Andes. A spine of mountains running 7,000 kilometers along the western edge of South America. Their peaks tear into the sky, taller than any building humans have ever made. They exist for one reason. The ocean is sinking beneath the land. As the Pacific plate is forced downward, the South American plate crumples upward, like a rug being pushed against a wall. In this slow, relentless folding, mountains rise. Not in minutes, not in years, but in millimeters per year, and yet, over millions of years, those millimeters become giants. Every mountain you have ever seen is a monument to the incredible patience of the Earth. Volcanoes. The violent architects of life, volcanoes terrify us because we meet them only at the moment of eruption. But if we could see their full story, we would understand something deeper. Volcanoes, they are not destroyers. They are creators. The air we breathe comes in part from volcanic gas. The islands we live on, Hawaii, Japan, Iceland, Indonesia, they are children of fire. Volcanoes bring up minerals from deep inside the earth, fertilize soil, and reshape coastlines in ways that make life possible. Even the continents themselves are partly built from ancient eruptions. Yes, volcanoes can devastate cities, but without them, there would be no atmosphere, no land, no oceans, and no life. Fire and life are siblings in the story of Earth. When collisions trigger tsunamis, now imagine this collision building tension for centuries. Two plates are locked together, pushing, grinding, straining, until it snaps. The land jolts upward or downward by several meters in less than a second. The seafloor jumps, throwing a column of water into upward motion. A tsunami is born, not from the waves we usually see, but from the entire ocean being lifted and dropped like a colossal heartbeat. This is what happened in Japan in 2011. This is what devastated Indonesia in 2004. This is what will happen again because subduction zones never stop accumulating energy. Tsunamis, they are not just ocean disasters. They are the signature of tectonic plates meeting face to face and releasing centuries of tension in one shattering moment. The continent that refuses to sink. Not all collisions involve sinking. Some involve two continents meeting each other head-on. And when they do, neither can sink. Both are too light. What happens then is astonishing. They weld together. They buckle. They rise. This is how the Himalayas were born, from India crashing into Asia at the speed your fingernails grow. Today, Mount Everest continues to rise a few millimeters each year. Even now, the collision is not over. The mountains are not finished. The Earth is still building them as you listen to these words. The Himalayas are the scars of a collision so immense it reshaped the face of the planet. A world built by disasters. When we look at earthquakes, eruptions, tsunamis, and landslides, we often think of them as tragedies, and they can be. But if we step back, if we look at the entire timeline of Earth, a different truth appears. Disasters build worlds. The continents exist because plates collided. The tallest mountains rise because plates crashed. The volcanoes erupt because plates sink. The oceans open because plates split. Everything stable comes from something violent. Everything alive comes from something fiery. The earth we stand on was shaped by an unimaginable force. And yet, in the long quiet between those forces, life grows. Forests form, rivers carve valleys, animals migrate, civilizations rise, because the earth never stops making and remaking itself. The future written beneath our feet, every continent today is drifting. South America moves west toward the Pacific. Africa drifts north toward Europe. Australia inches closer to Asia. North America slides slowly westward. We do not feel it, but in millions of years, maps will look nothing like they do now. New oceans will open. Old oceans will close. New mountains will rise. Others will collapse. Future civilizations, if humanity survives, will stand on continents we would not recognize today. Because the story of Earth never pauses. The planet moves even when we are asleep. The endless conversation of the Earth, every collision, every quake, every eruption, is the Earth speaking in its own language. A language of motion, of pressure, of heat, of time. It tells us, you are not standing on solid ground. You are standing on a living planet. And that planet, it is still writing its story. The continents we know are chapters. The mountains we climb are paragraphs. The oceans we fear are sentences. And the Earth is still turning the page. Most people imagine the Earth as something solid, stable, fixed beneath our feet. But if the last chapters have shown us anything, it is this: the Earth never rests. Not in the oceans, not in the crust, not in the deep mantle. And here, in this chapter, we will step back from the violent places, the volcanoes, earthquakes, and trenches, and look at something softer, but no less powerful: the Earth's breath. Because the planet does not only move through rock and fire, it moves through ocean currents or rivers, winds, an atmosphere, ice, storms, rainfall. Every one of these is part of the same machine that has been shaping our world since long before humans took their first breath. And without this softer motion, this silent choreography of water and air, life could not exist. The oceans, the beating heart of the planet. If you could place your hand on the surface of the ocean and feel what lies beneath, you would sense something extraordinary: movement. Endless, global, ancient movement. Ocean currents are not just water drifting. They are the arteries of the entire planet. They carry heat from the equator to the poles, and cold from the poles back toward the tropics. They regulate climate, shape coastlines, and determine which places receive storms and which remain calm. Without ocean currents, Europe would be frozen. The tropics would be unbearable. Rainfall patterns would collapse. The Earth's climate would fall into chaos. The currents move slowly, sometimes only a few centimeters per second, but together they form a single planet-sized circulation, the global conveyor belt. It takes 1,000 years for a drop of water to complete the full journey. Every 1,000 years, the oceans breathe once. Rivers. The veins of the continents. Now lift your hand from the oceans and place it on a river, any river. Feel the flow. That gentle motion is one of the greatest forces shaping the continents. A river may seem delicate, but given enough time, it can cut through mountains, split valleys, and carve canyons thousands of meters deep. The Grand Canyon itself was carved by a river over 6 million years. But rivers do more than carve. They carry life, sediments, minerals, nutrients. Everything that plants and animals need travels with the flow. Without rivers, there would be no agriculture, no forests, no freshwater ecosystems, no civilizations. Every ancient empire, Egypt on the Nile, India on the Indus, China on the Yellow River, Mesopotamia on the Euphrates began beside a river. Rivers are not just water. They are the memory of rainfall, the handwriting of the landscape, the soft voice of the earth in motion. Winds, the whispering architects of weather. If oceans are the heart and rivers are the veins, then the atmosphere is the breath. Wind may feel gentle, but it carries the power to transport heat across entire hemispheres. Every breeze you've ever felt is part of a global system driven by sunlight, rotation, and the tilt of the earth. Warm air rises, cold air sinks. The Coriolis effect twists the winds into spirals and bands that wrap around the planet. This creates jet streams of monsoons, hurricanes, trade winds, cyclones. Atmospheric rivers. Wind is the invisible hand that sculpts climate. It can carry sand from the Sahara across the Atlantic all the way to the Amazon rainforest, and that sand contains nutrients that fertilize the jungle. One desert feeds one rainforest on another continent. The earth is full of secrets like this. Ice. The silent sculptor now imagines something colder, something ancient, something patient. Ice. Glaciers carve mountains the way rivers carve valleys. They move slowly, sometimes just centimeters a day, but with a force that no machine on Earth can match. A glacier can carry boulders the size of houses, cut cliffs into smooth walls, and grind solid rock into fine dust. During the ice ages, glaciers covered a third of the planet. When they retreated, they left behind lakes of fertile soil, carved valleys, new coastlines, entire ecosystems. Every handful of soil, every gentle slope, every fertile plain in the northern hemisphere, it was shaped by ice. Ice is not absent. Ice is architecture. Rain, the soft force with the power to transform continents. Rain seems gentle, a sound we sleep to, comfort, not a threat. But rain is one of the most powerful forces the Earth has. Raindrops carry carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and use it to dissolve rock. Over millions of years, rain can collapse mountains, open caves, and change entire coastlines. Without rain, rivers dry, forests disappear, life falters. Rain does not simply fall. It sculpts, it shapes, it nourishes. It is the handshake between the sky and the earth. The climate engine, a balance older than life. Every motion we've seen, currents, rivers, winds, ice, rain, is part of the same engine, Earth's climate system. It is delicate, complex, interconnected, and ancient. For 4 billion years, this engine has kept Earth in a narrow band where liquid water can exist and life can thrive. Too cold, and Earth becomes a frozen sphere like Europa. Too hot, and it becomes a hell like Venus. We live, all of us, in the thin, fragile balance between fire and ice. This balance depends on movement. If the ocean stopped, the planet would freeze. If the wind stopped, heat would build until life collapsed. If the ice vanished overnight, sea levels would drown continents. Earth is alive because it moves, because it circulates, because it breathes. When the balance is disrupted, but Earth's climate engine is not invincible. Throughout history, it has changed dramatically. There were times when the entire planet was covered in ice, a snowball Earth. There were times when the poles were warm and crocodiles lived in the Arctic. The climate can be peaceful for millions of years and then shift in just a few centuries. Today, human activity is accelerating one of those shifts. The greenhouse gases we release trap heat the same way a blanket does. The oceans warm, changing currents. The winds shift, the ice melts, rainfall patterns move, sea levels rise. None of this is new to Earth, but the speed is. Earth can adapt. Life can adapt. but only if changes happen slowly. For the first time in history, one species, us, has become powerful enough to influence the breath of a planet. And that truth is both terrifying and extraordinary. The Earth's breath and humanity's place within it after all we've seen. The fire below, the water above, the wind around us. A simple realization emerges. We are not separate from the Earth. We are part of its motion. We drink water that once flowed through glaciers 10,000 years ago. We breathe air that once circled the globe at the edge of the stratosphere. We eat food grown from soil ground by ancient ice. We live in climates shaped by winds born from the rotation of the Earth millions of years before humans existed. We belong to this motion. We survive because the Earth breathes. The never-ending dance as we close this chapter. Step outside for a moment. Feel the wind. Listen to the rain. Watch a wave. Touch a river. Observe a drifting cloud. Every one of these is the Earth moving around you. The Earth speaking to you. The Earth continuing its story in the only way it knows. Through motion. Through change. Through breath. And the truth is simple. The Earth that never sleeps is the reason life never stops. Our journey continues, and the planet still has more stories to tell. There is a moment, after you've seen the oceans breathe, after you've walked across drifting continents, after you've stood beside volcanoes that rise from the sea like burning lungs, when a single question begins to form. How does the Earth remember all of this? How does a planet carry 4.5 billion years of storms, collisions, extinctions, mountains born and mountains erased, and still keep a record of every chapter? Because the Earth does remember, just not in the way humans do, not through stories, not through words, but through time carved into stone. In this chapter, we will listen to the Earth's memory, the deep memory that lies beneath soil and ocean like an ancient library of everything that has ever happened. This is the story of time on a planetary scale. Rocks. The Earth's oldest storytellers. If you hold a rock in your hand, a simple, ordinary rock, you are holding a piece of time. Some rocks are older than the continents. Some are older than the oceans. Some are older than the moon. The Earth does not write its memories on paper. It writes them in stone. Volcanic rocks tell stories of fire. Sedimentary rocks tell stories of rivers and sand. Metamorphic rocks tell stories of pressure so intense it can transform one type of rock into another. A single stone can contain 1 billion years compressed into a weight you can lift with one hand. And when geologists study them, they read the Earth the way historians read ancient texts. They see world-changing events not as myths but as layers. The Earth remembers everything, rock by rock, layer by layer, silently. Fossils. The echoes of lives long gone now. Imagine this. You bend down and split open a piece of shale a few centimeters thick. Inside is the imprint of a creature that died 400 million years ago. A creature that lived, breathed, struggled, and vanished before there were birds, forests, or dinosaurs. Fossils are not just bones. They are echoes. Echoes of oceans that no longer exist and ecosystems that the Earth extinguished long before humans arrived. Some fossils show us the first fish to walk onto land. Some show us the jaws of the first predators. Some show us forests frozen in ash from eruptions that darkened the sky for years. Every fossil is a window into a world that the Earth remembers long after the world itself is gone. Extinctions. The pages where the planet starts over the Earth not only records life, it also records loss. There have been 5 mass extinctions, global catastrophes that wiped out most of the species on Earth. Each one is carved into the rocks like a page torn from a book. The most devastating happened 252 million years ago, the Permian extinction, when 90% of all species vanished. Another one, 66 million years ago, ended the reign of the dinosaurs when an asteroid hit the Earth with the force of billions of atomic bombs. These were not just endings. They were restarts. After each extinction, life rebuilt itself as if turning a page. And every one of those pages is preserved in the Earth's memory. A memory written in ash, in crater walls, in the chemical fingerprints trapped in stone. Understand, so life rewrites the planet. When we think about Earth shaping life, we often forget something equally true. Life shapes the Earth. 3 billion years ago, the Earth's skies were orange. The oceans were green. The air had almost no oxygen. Then tiny bacteria began releasing O2 as a waste product. A waste product that transformed a planet. The Great Oxygenation Event killed many early life forms but allowed new life to evolve lungs, shells, muscles, and bones. The sky turned blue. The oceans turned clear. Iron rusted into mountains of red. Life changed the Earth just as deeply as volcanoes or continents do. And every chemical trace of that transformation is still preserved in the rocks beneath your feet. The Earth's clock, plate movements and the pulse of ages. The Earth measures time not with seconds or hours, but with cycles. The cycle of continents drifting. The cycle of oceans opening and closing. The cycle of mountains rising and eventually melting into sand. Every 500 million years, the continents come together into a single giant landmass called a supercontinent. It has happened at least 5 times. At Volbara, Kennerland, Columbia, Rodinia to Pangaea, and one day, far in the future, it will happen again. The Earth's clock ticks in supercontinents. Each one it is a new era. When continents collide, mountains rise. When continents tear apart, oceans are born. Time is written not in numbers, but in landscapes. Climate remembers everything ice remembers. Layers of glacial ice contain tiny bubbles of air from thousands of years ago. When scientists drill into ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica, they are reading messages written by the atmosphere itself. They can see the volcanic eruptions, droughts, ancient temperatures, the rise and fall of CO2. Even dust storms from Sahara carried across the planet. Ice is a diary of the Earth's breath. But ice also disappears, which means memories disappear with it. We are living in a moment when the Earth's archive is melting. And within that melting archive are warnings. Stories the Earth recorded so that future generations could read them. Oceans store the memory of heat. The oceans remember every degree of warmth the planet has ever gained. More than 90% of the excess heat from global warming it is stored in the oceans. This heat changes. Currents, storms, coral reefs, sea levels. The chemistry of water the ocean does not forget, simply waits. And when the ocean changes, the entire planet follows. The Earth's memory is not only written in stone, but also carried in currents. The Earth is old, but its story is still unfinished after everything we've seen. The fire, the water, the wind, the ice, the fossils, the extinctions, the drifting continents. You might expect the Earth to be slowing down, but the opposite is true. The Earth is still writing, still carving, still creating new mountains, new oceans, new ecosystems, new chapters. We are living on a planet still in motion, still becoming, still alive. And though humans have only existed for the last blink of Earth's history, we are now part of the story. What we do changes the next chapter. We are no longer just readers of the Earth's memory, we are contributors. The Earth will remember this age in its stones, its air, its oceans, its climate. We are writing a chapter that future worlds will uncover. A planet that remembers everything the Earth remembers. Every storm, every glacier, every life form, every extinction, every mountain rises, every sea that dried, every forest is born, every desert expanded, every volcano speaks, every river carved, every footprint, even the ones left by creatures that no longer exist. The earth carries memory as deeply as it carries heat, as widely as it carries oceans, as softly as it carries the wind. And now, after traveling through billions of years in just a few chapters, a realization becomes clear. We are walking on memory. We are shaped by memory. We are part of memory. And the memory of Earth, it is not finished yet. The next chapter is being written this very moment. By fire, by ocean, by wind, by ice, by time, and by us. There is one truth we often forget. Earth not only provides a home for life, it shaped humanity itself. The way we breathe, the way we build cities, the way we migrate, even the way we dream and imagine the world. All of it is influenced by the silent movements of this planet. If Part 7 was the story of Earth's memory, then Part 8 is the story of us. Tiny beings shaped by rock, water, wind, and fire, who now have the power to influence the very planet that created us. Imagine standing on an ancient savanna millions of years ago. Wind sweeping through tall grass. A volcano rumbling in the distance. Continents drifting, lifting some mountains higher and pulling others toward the sea. In this shifting landscape, our ancestors walked on unsteady feet. Few people realize, shifting terrain taught humans to walk upright. Rapid climate variations forced us to become curious and adaptable. Cold nights and scorching days pushed our brains to seek fire and shelter. Long cycles of drought compelled humans to create tools and strategies. Earth didn't just give us a place to live. It is designed the way we live. Without ice ages, humans would never have left Africa. Without moving coastlines, we would not have learned to build boats. Without volcanic ash, we wouldn't have the fertile soils that supported early civilizations. Earth shaped our bodies and our minds. Why are humans so intelligent? Some scientists believe that Earth's constantly shifting climate forced our ancestors' brains to grow larger and more complex. Earth challenged early humans to predict weather patterns, remember migration routes of animals, search for new water sources, cooperate in groups to survive. Those skills became the foundation of language, creativity, and abstract thinking. A planet in constant motion created a species in constant thought. Look at a world map and place ancient civilizations on it. You'll notice something remarkable. They did not appear randomly. They formed along Earth's natural rhythms. Egypt grew powerful because the Nile deposited fertile soil each year. Mesopotamia thrived between the Tigris and Euphrates. Ancient China flourished thanks to the sediment-rich Yellow River. Indian civilization formed around the Indus and the Ganges. Humans did not choose rivers.
Rivers choisiment.
The same is true for the ocean. The earliest ships were built because the sea invited us to explore. The greatest empires were those who mastered the sea. Even the spread of languages, religions, and cultures' ocean currents shaped it. It is as if Earth had gently laid out the roads humanity would one day walk. Storms, droughts, unpredictable floods, they did not destroy humanity. In fact, they helped us become exceptional. Without storms, there would be no resilient architecture. Without droughts, no irrigation systems. Without volcanoes, no fertile farmlands. Without ice ages, no journeys into new continents. Nature is harsh, but it is also the teacher that showed humanity how to survive. And in every challenge, Earth seemed to whisper, I am moving. If you want to live, you must move too. For 99.9% of human history, we were a small, harmless piece of Earth's ecosystem. But a few thousand years ago, everything changed. We built dams and redirected rivers, constructed cities on former forests, mined deep into the crust, Burned fossil fuels formed in the age of dinosaurs. Melted ice sheets warmed the atmosphere, altered rainfall patterns and wind cycles. Humans no longer simply adapted to Earth. We began reshaping Earth. Scientists now call this era the Anthropocene, the age of humans. For the first time in 5 billion years, one species can alter the climate of the entire planet. A species capable of influencing mountains, rivers, and oceans. A species powerful enough to leave a signature in Earth's geological memory. Many believe global warming is merely a human problem. But in truth, it is the story of the whole planet. When Earth warms, ice melts as sea levels rise, as storms intensify, droughts last longer, ecosystems shift as species disappear, oceans expand from heat, currents change direction. Seasons behave unpredictably. This is not a distant scenario. It is what is happening right now. But here is the astonishing part. Earth is not fragile. It has survived ice ages, superheated epochs, and mass extinctions. Earth will survive this too. The real question is, will humans survive it? For the first time in history, we understand our planet. We understand how wind forms, how water cycles, how rocks evolve, how continents drift, how climate shifts, how life adapts. Knowledge is not a burden. It is a gift. Earth does not ask us to repair it. It asks only one thing: listen. Listen to the wind, to the waves, to the cracking of tectonic plates, to the breath of volcanoes, to the deep ocean currents, to the forests absorbing sunlight to keep life alive. Earth has always spoken. Humans have simply been too busy to hear. Humanity and Earth. Two stories becoming one after everything we've explored. Magma flows, atmospheric cycles, rock formations, deep oceans, ancient ice, primordial memories. One truth becomes clear. We are not separate from Earth. We are part of it. In every cell of our bodies is carbon forged in ancient stars. In every drop of water are molecules once carried through prehistoric seas. In every breath is oxygen made by ice age forests. In every bone are minerals once trapped in ancient stone. We are Earth becoming aware of itself. Earth learning to think. Earth capable of emotion, fear, love, and hope. Humanity and Earth are not two separate stories. They are one story. Earth is still moving, still forming mountains, still opening new oceans, still writing memory into stone, still sustaining life, still reminding us that this world has far more to say. And we, the ones who listen, have only just begun the journey. There are powers on Earth that no one can see, no one can touch, no one can hear. Yet these powers, these invisible forces, are the reason our planet does not fall apart, does not break into pieces, does not burn under the sun, nor drift into the cold emptiness of space. We have walked through fire, water, wind, ice, memory, and time. Now we enter the most abstract, most mysterious, yet most important realm of Earth's entire machinery, gravity, the magnetic field, and the invisible laws that keep this planet alive. Without gravity, Earth would not be Earth. It would be a cloud of dust scattered across space. Gravity is the hand that gathers every grain of rock, every drop of water, every piece of metal, pressing them together into the planet we stand on. Gravity keeps the oceans from floating away, holds the atmosphere in place, keeps the moon in orbit, keeps us grounded when we walk, makes leaves fall instead of rising upward. But gravity doesn't just pull, it shapes. It compresses the core, creating pressure so intense that iron melts, forming the molten outer core, the birthplace of Earth's magnetic field. Gravity is the first condition for life on Earth. It is the universe's rule number one. Everything begins with it. If gravity holds Earth together, the magnetic field keeps life on Earth. Imagine the sun as a giant nuclear reactor blasting trillions of charged particles. The solar wind, each particle powerful enough to tear apart molecules in the atmosphere. Without the magnetic field, Earth would look like Mars. Dry, cold, airless. But Earth's magnetic field acts as an enormous invisible shield, stretching tens of thousands of kilometers into space. When the solar wind arrives, the magnetic field bends it, twists it, and pushes it away. The breathtaking side effect of this protection is the aurora, light dancing across the polar skies, as if Earth were singing. Without this magnetic shield, water would evaporate, the atmosphere would be stripped away, a DNA would be destroyed by radiation, life would be impossible. Earth's magnetic field is the invisible umbrella that has kept this planet safe for 5 billion years. Where does the magnetic field come from? From beneath your feet, nearly 3,000 kilometers down, where Earth's core burns at over 5,000 degrees Celsius. As hot as the surface of the sun, Earth's outer core is liquid metal, molten iron and nickel, moving constantly like an ocean of fire. Its swirling motion, called the geodynamo, generates the magnetic field. Meaning, if Earth's core stopped moving, the magnetic field would collapse, and life would end. Earth's core is a heart, beating without pause, moment after moment, to sustain the breath of the planet. What is beautiful is this: our survival depends on something no human has ever seen with their eyes. A secret in the dark. Earth spins constantly, so fast you don't feel it. 1,700 kilometers per hour at the equator. If Earth stopped spinning, a single day would last a year. A half the planet would burn like Venus. The other half would freeze in eternal night. Winds would die, weather would collapse, or oceans would stop circulating. Earth's rotation creates the Coriolis effect, the master key of weather. Hurricanes, monsoon winds, ocean currents, the jet stream, deserts, and rainforests. If Earth paused its rotation for just 1 second, only 1 second, the oceans would rush westward, winds would reach thousands of km/h, and everything would be torn apart. We exist because this planet has never stopped. The sun does not merely shine. It shapes the planet. Sunlight determines the color of the sky, the temperature of the oceans, where deserts form, how winds move, the seasons, the water cycle, the rhythms of plants, and the functions of our bodies. Without the sun, Earth would be minus 270 degrees Celsius, oceans frozen, the magnetic field useless, all life gone. But too close to the sun, Earth would become Venus, 460 degrees Celsius, clouds of sulfuric acid, pressure that crushes metal. We live in a rare, narrow, habitable zone of the universe. A distance so perfect it feels measured with a cosmic ruler. If the magnetic field protects Earth, the moon keeps Earth stable. Without the moon, Earth's tilt would swing chaotically between 0 degrees and 85 degrees. The climate would be extreme, winters lasting 6 years, tides would weaken, coastal ecosystems would collapse, days would shrink to 6 hours, winds reaching 300 kilometers per hour. The moon is the weight that keeps Earth's axis steady, allowing long-term climate stability. Without it, intelligent life like humans might never have evolved. The moon is not just a satellite. It is Earth's life partner, preventing this world from falling into chaos. The wonder is this: gravity, magnetism, rotation, the sun, none of them works alone. They are interwoven, like a cosmic symphony. Gravity compresses the core creates molten currents generate the magnetic field protects the atmosphere forms the weather enables life. Earth's rotation creates winds create ocean currents regulate temperature, oceans store heat, life evolves. The moon stabilizes the tilt creates seasons support ecosystems diversify. Break one of these links and the planet as we know it ceases to exist. Earth survives because of the harmony between things we cannot see. After exploring these invisible forces, one truth becomes clear. Life on Earth, it is not durable. It is fragile like a flame. If the core stopped moving, the magnetic field weakened, the tilt changed, the moon drifted away, the sun grew slightly hotter, or the climate slipped out of balance, everything would end. Life exists not because it is strong, but because Earth has maintained an extraordinary balance for billions of years. And we are the only species aware of this. Is what keeps everything alive ** gravity. The magnetic field, Earth's rotation, the moon, our distance from the sun, the balance of the atmosphere, the movement of the core. We cannot touch them, cannot hold them, cannot see them with our eyes. Yet these invisible forces are the reason you breathe, the reason the oceans stay blue, the reason trees grow, the reason life continues, and the reason Earth still has more stories to tell. There is one thing humans have always wondered, even after understanding Earth's 4.5 billion year past, even after decoding magma, oceans, volcanoes, ice ages, and ancient memory. What will happen to this planet's future? Earth has already told us its story. Through stone, through storms, through mountains, through drifting continents and whispering winds. And if we listen closely enough, what can we hear in the chapters ahead? In this part, we look into the near future, the far future, and the final future of our blue planet. A journey stretching millions, then hundreds of millions of years. Not fantasy, not myth, but scientific predictions, already written into the motion of tectonic plates, the orbit of the moon, and the steady rhythm of Earth's inner core. When we look at the world map today, it feels permanent, as if continents will always remain where they are. But the map is only a temporary photograph. In the next 50 million years, Earth will look dramatically different. Australia will drift north, colliding with Southeast Asia and lifting new mountain ranges as high as the Himalayas. United States California will literally move. The San Andreas Fault will push the western part of the state northward, closer to Alaska than its present position. Water wave the Atlantic Ocean will continue to widen, pushing the Americas and Africa farther apart. European Union Europe will crash into Africa, creating a new mountain chain matching the Himalayas in height, stretching through Italy, Greece, and Turkey. These changes are slow, but they are certain. Earth has never been still, and the map we know today is only one brief moment. Amasia or Pangaea Ultima, the next supercontinent ***, all supercontinents in history have merged, split apart, and then merged again. This process, the supercontinent cycle, occurs roughly every 250 million years. Today, we are already entering the second half of this cycle. Scientists propose two major scenarios. Amasia, a supercontinent forming around the North Pole. Asia, the Americas, and Africa will drift northward. India will collide with Asia again, lifting the Himalayas even higher. All major landmasses will cluster around the Arctic region. The result is a supercontinent curving around the North Pole. Pangaea Ultima, the return of a single giant landmass. The Atlantic Ocean will close completely. The Americas will collide with Africa and Europe. A gigantic supercontinent will form on the same site where ancient Pangaea once existed. The center of the new continent could reach 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, too hot for most mammals. The outer edges near the ocean will be the only climate-safe regions. No matter which scenario unfolds, one truth is inevitable. Earth will once again become a supercontinent, and that will reshape the global climate, ocean currents, and the survival of countless species. The moon moves 3.8 centimeters farther from Earth. A tiny number, but a massive impact on the planet's future. Exclamation mark as the moon moves away. Tides weaken. Earth's tilt becomes less stable. Seasons grow more irregular. Climate becomes sensitive on geological timescales. Once the moon is far enough, Earth's axis may wobble dramatically. The North Pole may receive months of constant sunlight. The equator may occasionally fall into long darkness. Climate patterns may swing wildly over tens of thousands of years. The moon is Earth's anchor. As it drifts away, our planet begins to lose its balance. Earth's magnetic field has flipped more than 100 times in the past, meaning the north and south magnetic poles literally switch places. And right now, the field is weakening, especially over the South Atlantic. This suggests another reversal may occur within 1,000 to 10,000 years. During a reversal, power systems may be disrupted, satellites could malfunction, migratory animals lose their navigation, more solar radiation enters the atmosphere. But the important part, Earth has survived every past reversal. Life continues. The magnetic field changes, but the planet endures. A true long-term threat ***. This is a law of nuclear physics. The sun increases in temperature by about 10% every 1 billion years. As it does, water evaporates faster, oceans shrink, the atmosphere becomes thick with water vapor. A powerful greenhouse effect, or Earth warms dramatically, eventually becoming a mild version of Venus. In 1 billion years, this process begins. In 1.5 to 2 billion years, the oceans may disappear entirely. Not because of humans, not because of temporary climate cycles, but because of the physics of the sun itself. Earth won't be destroyed. It will simply return to what it once was. A hot, silent, rocky world. Earth will eventually be swallowed by the sun star. In 5 billion years, the sun will expand into a red giant. It will grow so large that its outer layers will extend beyond Earth's orbit. No more mountains, no more oceans, no more magnetic field, no atmosphere, no rock, no memory, only the ashes of the planet drifting in a vast red sea of light. But this is not a tragedy. It is the natural life cycle of stars, something that has happened billions of times throughout the galaxy. Earth is not destroyed. It becomes part of the next generation of worlds. The biggest question isn't, what will happen to Earth? But, what will humanity do with the time we have? We exist for just 0.00004% of Earth's lifetime. Yet in that brief moment, we hold the power to protect ecosystems, slow climate change, explore other planets, carry Earth's story beyond Earth itself. Earth's future spans millions of years. Humanity's future depends on the choices we make right now. Despite its violent past and its ever-changing future, Earth keeps one truth. It never stops moving, never stops transforming, never stops living. And each of those changes, from drifting continents, to cooling oceans, to wandering poles, to the moon drifting away, is another chapter in the greatest book ever written. The story of a planet that created and protected life. And that story, it is far from over. Part 11 lies ahead. The universe is waiting to reveal its deepest mysteries. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine Earth not as a world beneath your feet, but as one tiny light floating in a sea of billions. from far away, from the edge of the solar system, or from a distant interstellar traveler, Earth would appear nothing more than a pale spark wrapped in a soft blue haze. Yet within that spark is something the universe almost never gets right. Life, breath, oceans. Forests thinking minds looking back at the sky trying to understand why they exist. How did all of this happen? Why here, in a galaxy of 400 billion stars, would life bloom on this very rock, at this very time? In part 11, we step back, far back, to see Earth in the cosmic context. Its neighbors, its rivals, its near misses and lucky breaks. We discover why almost every world around us is hostile, silent, or barren, and why Earth stands alone like a miracle whispered into the dark. Two sisters, two different fates *** in size, composition, and origin. Venus is Earth's twin. If the solar system were a story, these two worlds would be the sisters born from the same parent cloud of dust. But their destinies could not be more different. Venus today is a furnace, 465 degrees Celsius surface temperature. Enough heat to melt lead, clouds of sulfuric acid, pressure 90 times stronger than Earth's. A sky permanently hidden in yellow haze, no ocean, no wind as we know it, no life. Why? Because Venus drifted just a little closer to the sun. Just enough for its oceans, if it ever had any, to evaporate. And once the oceans disappeared, the atmosphere spiraled into a runaway greenhouse effect that transformed the planet into a tomb. Earth survived because it stood a few million kilometers farther. Just a few million. A cosmic hair's breadth. A lost world. Frozen 2 early *** Mars is now a desert. Dry, silent, rust red. But long ago, 5 billion years, Mars had rivers, lakes, maybe even oceans. Then something catastrophic happened. Mars lost its magnetic field. When that shield collapsed, the solar wind stripped away its atmosphere. Without air, water evaporated. Without water, life, if it ever existed, vanished. What remained was a frozen skeleton of a world that once had potential. Earth survived because its core stayed molten, because its magnetic field never faded, because its atmosphere was never ripped away. Again, luck, timing, and fragile balance. Could life bloom elsewhere? We look beyond the inner planets to the icy worlds of the outer solar system. Europa, beneath its frozen crust, lies an ocean with more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. Tidal forces warm the ocean from below. Somewhere in that darkness, life might be stirring, simple, microbial, or something stranger. Enceladus, a tiny moon of Saturn that shoots jets of water vapor and organic molecules into space through cracks in its icy shell. A sign of chemical reactions similar to what happened on the young Earth. Titan, a world of methane lakes, organic chemistry, and a thick atmosphere. A laboratory of prebiotic conditions. These moons remind us that Earth isn't the only place with the ingredients for life. But none of these worlds have sunlight, climate, and continents, or stable conditions long enough for complex life to emerge. Earth remains unique, not because life is impossible elsewhere, but because life here has reached complexity, diversity, and consciousness. Why complex life is almost impossible ***, scientists propose the rare Earth hypothesis. A theory stating that while simple microbes might be common in the universe, complex life, animals, forests, oceans, intelligence, it is extraordinarily rare. To support complex life, a planet needs the right distance from its star, a stable climate for billions of years, a large moon for axial stability, a magnetic field, plate tectonics, liquid water, an atmosphere at the right thickness, the correct chemical ingredients, a gentle evolutionary timeline, a star that doesn't flare violently, a protection from too many asteroid impacts, a protection from too few impacts, which help evolution. Each of these conditions, it is unlikely on its own. all of them are happening together on a single world is so improbable that Earth may be one in trillions. Some estimates say, the odds of a planet like Earth appearing in a galaxy are 1 in 700 trillion. And yet, here we are. A chain of cosmic coincidences **** if you trace life's existence backward. You discover a chain of events so precise, so delicate, it feels almost like fate. A Jupiter formed at the perfect time to deflect deadly asteroids. The Moon formed after a catastrophic collision that stabilized Earth's tilt. Plate tectonics recycled nutrients and a regulated climate. Water arrived from icy comets and volcanic outgassing. Carbon dioxide levels dropped just enough for oxygen to flourish. The magnetic field protected the atmosphere. Evolution survived 5 mass extinctions. Mammals rose after an asteroid wiped out dinosaurs. Humans evolved in the narrowest climate window ever recorded. Change any one step and intelligence might never have emerged. Earth became a home not just because conditions allowed it, but because everything aligned in a cosmic choreography billions of years in the making. This is the Fermi paradox. Where is everyone? There are many possible answers. Perhaps Earth is one of the only worlds where biology had enough time to become conscious. They may extinguish themselves before they can explore the stars. Light takes time. Messages take time. Civilizations may pass like ships in the night, never overlapping. Just as humans sometimes observe wildlife quietly without disturbing it, older civilizations may follow a similar ethic. The universe is still waiting for more life to awaken. If an alien civilization looked at Earth from their telescopes, what would they see? A blue planet rich in oxygen, a surface shimmering with water, a magnetic field bends the solar wind, cloud patterns shifting across continents, nighttime city lights glittering on the dark side, and from those lights, from those tiny sparks, they would know life is here. Not a simple life, but intelligent life capable of dreaming and wondering. A planet trying to understand itself. A species gazing back at the stars. It's not just water. It's not just oxygen. It's not just the sun or the moon or plate tectonics or a molten core. It's all of them together in a harmony so rare that it borders on the miraculous. Earth is the only place we know where the universe looks back at itself, where matter becomes mind, where stardust becomes self-aware, where a planet learns to admire its own beauty through the eyes of its inhabitants. Are we alone? Maybe not. Maybe life is out there, waiting, watching, blooming in silence. Or maybe Earth is the first spark in a dark universe still learning how to awaken. But whether we are alone or not, one thing is certain. Places like Earth are rare. Life like ours is precious. And consciousness is a gift that very few worlds ever receive. Earth is not just a planet. It is a miracle wrapped in blue, floating in an ocean of stars. And this miracle, our only home, deserves to be cherished. There is a moment, after the storms of thought quiet down, when the mind becomes still enough to hear a gentler voice. A voice so soft it often disappears beneath the noise of daily life. Tonight, as we close this long journey through fire, oceans, mountains, and stars, I invite you to listen to that voice. It is not the voice of science alone, nor the voice of history, nor the echo of our own curiosity. It is the voice of the planet itself, a voice older than every civilization, every language, every story we have ever told. And if Earth could speak, this is what it might say. 4.5 billion years ago, I was nothing more than swirling fire, a molten ocean of metal and stone colliding in the darkness. There was no sky, no oceans, no wind, no life, only impact, chaos, and heat. But slowly I cooled, I healed, I began to settle into myself. And with every million years that passed, a new layer of my identity appeared. First rock, then water, then air, then the continents that drifted like slow, wandering thoughts, then forests, fungi, coral. Light life did not arrive suddenly. It danced at my edges, experimented in my oceans, clung to my stones, learned to breathe in my air. And then one day, after nearly 4 billion years, you opened your eyes. A creature made from my minerals, my water, my stardust. You were my first child to know that I existed. You live on my surface, but also within my rhythm. My rotation becomes your day, and my orbit becomes your year. My breathing forests become your oxygen, and my oceans become your rain, and my core becomes your magnetic shield. My gravity keeps your feet steady. I give you everything and ask for almost nothing. The trees that shade your afternoon walk, the food on your table, the quiet stability that lets you dream. All of it comes from the long patience of a planet that has been working long before you were born. Even now, I continue shaping mountains, raising islands from the sea, cooling magma into new homes for future life. I am always moving, even when you don't feel me move. And even when you forget about me, I never forget about you. Long before humans walked, I faced extinction after extinction. 5 times, life nearly vanished. Once from volcanic winters, and once from massive asteroids. Once from oceans turning to poison. Once from runaway heat. Once from the global ice. Each time, I fell to my knees. Each time, life struggled to hold on. But every time, I rose again. Not because I am invincible, but because life is stubborn, resilient, hungry to exist. Life is my greatest creation, and also my greatest responsibility. You are part of that story, fragile, temporary, miraculous. A flicker of consciousness in a universe still learning how to see. Of all the species that walked upon me, you are the first to wonder where you came from. The first to look up instead of down. The first to draw meaning from starlight. You study my oceans, drill into my crust, explore my poles, visit my moon. You ask questions even when no answer is guaranteed. You dream beyond survival. You search for purpose. You imagine futures that I cannot. This ability to dream, to imagine, to fear, to love. This is what makes you extraordinary. You are not just life on Earth. You are a life that tries to understand Earth. And I cherish that. You are powerful. More powerful than any species I have known. You shape forests in weeks. You redirect rivers in days. You warm the atmosphere in decades. You change ecosystems with decisions made in a single afternoon. Your influence reaches far, but your hearts remain so tender. And so I say this without anger, without accusation, without sorrow. Be gentle with me. I am strong, but not unbreakable. I can heal, but not instantly. Everything you do ripples through my winds, my oceans, my soil, my seasons. I do not ask you to stop being human. I ask you to remember that you are part of me, not above me. We rise together, or we fall together. Yes, I will change again. Yes, continents will collide and drift apart. Yes, climates will swing, and the sun will grow hotter with time. But your story with me is still new. You have thousands of years ahead to learn, to adapt, to take care of this home and each other. I have seen life vanish before because it could not change fast enough. But you are different. You can imagine futures. You can prevent disasters. You can choose compassion. You can choose wisdom. You can choose stewardship over exploitation. Other species follow instinct. You follow vision. That is your gift and your test. Before this journey ends, lift your eyes toward the sky. Every star you see is a story older than mine. Every galaxy you glimpse is a cradle of possibilities. And yet, in all those billions of worlds, you stand here, alive on this single impossible planet with oceans that breathe, mountains that grow, and forests that whisper in the wind. Do you realize how rare that is? How precious? How miraculous? You are living on a world that overcame fire and ice, chaos and catastrophe, to give you a place to stand, a place to love, a place to dream, a place to whisper your own meaning into the quiet. If Earth could offer one final message, it would be this: you are not alone. You have never been alone. Every breath you take connects you to forests far away. Every sip of water connects you to ancient seas. Every heartbeat echoes the rhythm of the planet spinning beneath your feet. You are made of my minerals, my oceans, my air, my stardust. And no matter where you go, to the moon, to Mars, or someday beyond the solar system, you will carry pieces of me in your bones and in your memories. So rest now. Let the noise of the world fade. Let your thoughts soften. Let your breath fall into sync with the deep, ancient heartbeat of the planet that raised you. This story is long, but tonight, this chapter ends here with you, listening to the quiet voice of Earth, and Earth whispering back, "Sleep well, my wandering children. Tomorrow we begin again."